Welcome to Sense of Style. I'm Stuart. Today we're talking about cults. Well, not exactly cults. We're talking about cult-like adherence to certain fragrances that are out there. The weird thing about fragrances is sometimes you can take fragrances like really personally. If you really like something, and I noticed this the first time I saw Ashton's wife on Jensense criticizing Silver Mountain Water. It was literally like she was saying something about my child. And it was, yeah, that's not healthy, by the way. But yeah, we're talking about fragrances where people, if they like them, they love them. Fragrance number one, this is Jazz Club. It's part of the Replica series from Maison Margiela. And Maison Margiela is a really high-end house, very high quality, very expensive fragrances. It's a designer house, and I think, personally, it feels like a niche house. If you ever go to their website, and I did it just recently, wow. And Jazz Club is their number one fragrance that is explicitly for men. By the Fireplace is kind of unisex. Both men and women like it. But this one is mostly for guys, and there's a really cool quality to it. I found with the Replica series, they all really do, especially early on, replicate the moment in time that is the reason for the name of the series. So this one is supposed to be a jazz club in Brooklyn, and it's got people drinking booze and cigar smoke, and it kind of does feel like that, especially the first time. Then after you try it a bit, you know, you notice some other facets to it. But when I smelled this for the first, I didn't like it. That did not go over well at all. And so, yeah, I got a lot of flack. But no, I've come to really, really like it. It's a very nice high-end fragrance. I think the reason people like this one is it's a high-end house. It's a sweet tobacco, the special style of fragrance that men really like. And this is the number one explicitly male fragrance in the line, and people don't want you talking bad about it. Fragrance number two, this is Prada Lum Intense. Aside from Dior, Prada is my favorite house. I love it, and I talk about Prada a lot. But I've had this decant, and I don't talk about this fragrance much, and somebody called me out on it. And I have a reason for it. When I first got it, I really liked it. Like, it was my totally favorite fragrance. What it is, it's an iris and leather fragrance that's very sweet. And it's a little bit sweeter than the regular Prada Lum. So when I first got this, I loved it. But then over time, I'm like, well, it is a little too sweet. And I went back to liking Prada Lum. And I've noticed, especially when it comes to houses that people particularly like, and Prada's kind of popular in the fragrance community. This is not one you want to talk badly about. This is one you will get called up about. The fact that it's discontinued, it's rare, and it's got a very black kind of masculine bottle. There's something about this that appeals to a lot of guys. Yeah, this is not one you want to, that does smell good. Oh, here we go. Fragrance number three. This is LeBeau by Jean-Paul Gaultier. This is a Quentin Bish fragrance, by the way. Quentin Bish is the sort of Taylor Swift of the perfume world right now. You know, this is not a good time to be anti-Quentin Bish or anti any of his fragrances. This one actually, as you can see on the graph, it's gone up quite a bit since Le Male Elixir came out. But Bish had Le Male de Parfum, Le Male Elixir, and now Paradise Garden, which this is quite similar to, and it's gone up in popularity. And yeah, it's not a great time to be critical. And you know, the funny thing about it is, I'm going to be critical of this fragrance. My problem with this is twofold. It does not project. The scent is gorgeous. Like, it's a sweet coconut with a little bit of freshness, but it's kind of sweet and dense, right? Love the scent. I don't know when to wear it. Like, do I wear it in the winter because it's very sweet? But then I smell like coconut. Feels kind of stupid to wearing coconut in mid-January. But then if I wear it in the summer, you know, it's very sweet and it becomes cloying after a while. I never reach for it because of the versatility issue. That's the big one for me. Fragrance number 4. Now, this one, without question, has been my biggest nemesis because I don't like the fragrance. It's Nautica Voyage. Now, it does make sense why I don't like this. Number one, this is a really good performing but very inexpensive fresh fragrance. I live in Canada. We only have opportunity to wear this sort of its best results kind of scenario. 5 months of the year it's warm where I can wear this. Most of the time I can't. Also, this is very cheap. Now, for Canada, it's a relatively wealthy country, but most of the world live in a warmer, much warmer climate and are poorer. So something like this might be their first fragrance, or it might be one that they reach for all the time. Or even if you do live in Canada, this might be the first fragrance you ever tried and it got you into fragrances. And so a lot of people have a really soft spot in their heart for Nautica Voyage. So it doesn't go over well when I tell people it's crap. It is a different situation for me. I don't think it's the greatest fragrance in the world. I think it's kind of cheap smelling. It does have some good positive notes. The fact that, well, it has good performance. It is kind of fresh. But this atomizer and the cap and, yeah, I don't like it. But, boy, tons of people love this. Next up, we have Sauvage by Dior, 1966. This is lemon and bergamot, so very citrusy, and a couple of herbal notes, basil and oak moss. A classic old-fashioned scent. And when I first heard about this, it was just hyped beyond all comprehension. I had to have it. It was very expensive. Comes with a magnetic cap. It's Dior. The expectations were very high, and then I tried it, and I was like, what's the deal? Like, it's nice, but there's nothing spectacular about it. You know, it is a good, long-lasting citrus freshie with a little bit of an old-fashioned feel. I don't get it. But over time, I have come to adore this. It is one of those fragrances that grows on you. I'm not entirely sure why, but there is a classic, very cool quality to owning this fragrance that I don't get with 90% of them, maybe 95% of them. I just picture myself, you know, looking like, you know, James Bond or whatever in the 60s with a bottle of this on my dresser. And it's just very, very cool. It looks cool. It's got a very old-fashioned, classy look to it, very classy smell to it. There's something timeless about this. The bottle really does help here, you know, because it creates that image of the 60s and 60s wealth and sophistication. So yeah, I really like this now, and I actually heard someone criticize it the other day. A young guy said, oh, it smells really old, and yeah, I got defensive. Not good, but I did. Next up, we have Parfum de Marly Herod. And I compare this in terms of its cult-like popularity to a little bit like Maison Margiela Jazz Club. They have a lot of things in common. They're both sweet tobacco fragrances. They both come from really nice smelling, high quality houses, even though this one is niche and Maison Margiela is high-end designer. And they both, I think, represent the high-end, the favorite masculine fragrance in the lines or in the houses. So yeah, this one, you know, is just in the same way where so many people like this. It's not one that you would want to criticize. And I think Jazz Club, because of, you know, the explicit masculinity of cigars and rum, is probably a little bit more cult-like than Herod. But yeah, they're along the same lines. And this really is, I still don't know which one I think is the best sweet tobacco. It might be this one, though. Next up, we have Lattafa's Khamrah, and I think a lot like Nautica Voyage, this one provides, I think, sort of a feeling of, you know, accessibility to people who wouldn't normally have some really nice smelling fragrances because of its price. I mean, I sure don't have Angel Share, and I think a lot of people in the developing world and elsewhere are not going to be able to afford it, but they can afford this, and this is similar. It's not the same thing as Angel Share, but it's very decadent. Nautica Voyage is kind of the warm weather, accessible fragrance. and this is the cool weather, decadent, accessible fragrance. It really does smell nice, but it is also a really good cool weather fragrance. Now, this one, like Nautica Voyage, has its flaws, which I unfortunately brought up. And for me, it's like the longer this goes, the more synthetic it feels to me. Now, I will say this. This, I think, for the money, is the best performing fragrance that I've ever tried for the money. You factor in the price and how long it lasts and how much it protects. I don't think it can be beaten. But it is very nice. But yeah, this one, again, it wouldn't be perfect for like the exclusive high-end collector. This would be no big deal. But for the rest of us, yeah, it kind of is. Next up, we have Moschino's Toy Boy. This is the ultimate, I think. The ultimate in cult-like fragrances, mainly because it's crazy, weird, out there. It's not just the bottle. The scent is out there, too. So there's a lot of spices in this. You know, it's got cloves and it's got pink pepper. It's kind of a spicy rose fragrance, but the cloves and the pink pepper give it a dark spicy quality. And so a lot of people just can't stand it. And those people, I understand, because I did not like this for the first 6 months or so. It took me a while to get used to it. And I don't think, you know, if this had just been some random smell somewhere, I'd be like, you know, it's disgusting. But I knew Moschino was a good house and was supposed to smell good. So I got used to it. But yeah, I could definitely see people, you know, maybe a little bit of an outsider going, yeah, this is crazy, but I like it. It's me, right? And then, you know, loving it and not tolerating other people criticizing it, which unfortunately for them, there's going to be abundance of people because it is so weird. I don't know. It is good though. I've definitely warmed up to it, and I think it's more than just pure fashion. Yeah, it is weird. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Take care.